It's pretty hard to define what the worst song of a certain artist is. After all, music is inherently subjective. One person's trash can be another person's treasure. Then there's the argument of whether it performed commercially or not. And if it didn't do well in the charts, does that necessarily mean it's a bad song? So many factors and variables are at play when it comes to the quality of a song. It's almost impossible to argue in certainty. But when the frontman of the band himself labels a song of theirs as bad, it's hard to argue. In the case of The Who, Roger Daltrey has some pretty strong feelings on two songs from the back catalogue of this generation-defining, quintessential British rock and roll band. Stay to the end to find out which two these are and also which one he's convinced is cursed by a paranormal power. Hi, I'm Adam, welcome back to Music Mongoose. The Who are largely considered to be one of the most influential rock and roll bands of the 20th century and possibly of all time. They've sold over 100 million records worldwide. They're cited to have originated the power chord, the windmill strum, and the concept of the rock opera. They were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1990 and still remain a dominant force in the music industry. They've provided influence for bands such as Oasis, Guns N' Roses, Blur, and even Panic at the Disco. The lads have their DNA all over the place. I could have worded that better. Anyway, it's hard to think then that any of the 240 odd songs in their catalogue could be considered bad, let alone the worst. Let's go back to 1971 and the release of the single Won't Get Fooled Again. It was written by Pete Townsend and did pretty well commercially, reaching the top 10 in the UK charts. A stonking 8.5-minute version of the track later appeared on their album Who's Next, serving as the LP's closer. It appears in Rolling Stone magazine's 500 Greatest Songs of All Time and was even covered by Van Halen. Townsend originally wrote the song for a rock opera he'd been working on, Lifehouse, which unfortunately never saw the light of day. The track, however, was picked up for the album instead. It was recorded in Mick Jagger's house in Stargroves, England, inside the Rolling Stones mobile recording studio. That's pretty cool. Since 1971, the track has served as a staple on the setlist of The Who's live performances, often being used as the closer of the shows, reflecting the closing of the album. Roger Daltrey also performs the song live in his solo shows, cementing its place as a firm fan favourite of the concert setlist. Despite its commercial and critical success, Roger Daltrey revealed in an interview in 2019 that he's sick of performing the song live. On the prospect of performing the song live, he said, in true Daltrey fashion, "That's the only song I'm bloody bored shitless with. I don't know why, but I'm being honest. All the others I can approach like I'm singing for the first time. I don't know what's happening there psychologically. Maybe it's the song, but I never seem to be in the same pocket where I'm singing it for the first time." Now, it's certainly not an uncommon thing for band members to hate performing certain songs on the setlist. Just look at Radiohead and Creep or Nirvana and Smells Like Teen Spirit. Whether it's due to the repetitiveness of playing the same song every night or the emotion connected to a certain tune, there's a bunch of valid reasons artists might hate performing certain songs. In Daltrey's case, the fact the track is nearly 9 minutes long might be a factor in his boredom of it. But there's another track by The Who that Daltrey downright refuses to play live because he thinks it's cursed. The culprit: Music Must Change. To understand Daltrey's feelings with this track, we've got to go back to 1977 and the recording process of Who Are You?, the album on which Music Must Change appears. This is the last album Keith Moon's work appears on too. When recording the track, for whatever reason, Keith Moon wasn't quite able to get the drumming pattern down. Daltrey, on The Howard Stern Show in 2015, revealed Keith couldn't play the drums to it. It was in a 3/4. Keith couldn't play normal drums, Keith could play great Moon drums, and that was it. He had such a difficult time with it that the band opted for a session musician to fill in for Keith. The recording we know today doesn't feature Keith on the drums. Daltrey would later regret this decision as shortly after the album recording, Keith Moon sadly passed away. The song, therefore, would bring back difficult memories for Daltrey and the potential humiliation Moon went through in hiring a fill-in drummer. The curse of the track doesn't stop there, though. Although the band brought it back to live shows for a short period of time when Kenny Jones joined as drummer, it was then dropped from the setlist for many years. After a long period of retirement, the band decided to bring back the track and include it in an upcoming show. As Daltrey explains, "We brought it back in 2002 for the last tour with John Entwistle. and we rehearsed it. We were going to do it in the show, then John died. Entwistle died in Nevada in 2002, the night before The Who was scheduled to play the first show of their United States tour. So, to Daltrey, this track has not one but two significant deaths attached to it, hence its supposed curse. Since then, Daltrey vowed never to play the song again. What do you reckon? Is the song cursed? And speaking of awful songs, did you know the Rolling Stones intentionally wrote possibly the worst song in history? Check the video on screen for that one, and I'll catch you next time on Music Mongoose.